Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I want to show you how easy it is to identify a potential investor for a technology company, particularly when you're using the Visokio Omniscope. Now the objective in this case is a very simple one. I want to show you how I'm going to use the data I have and the Omniscope to identify potential investors for a particular technology business. Now, in a normal course of events, this is a bit like looking for a needle in a haystack because there are over 30,000 investors out there globally. There are over 66,000 technology companies. There have been over 114,000 rounds of investment, and there are over 168,000 investments made. And I have whittled this all down to over 850 categories. And all this data originates from Crunchbase. But I've been doing quite a lot of work with it in spreadsheets and in the Omniscope in order to bring it into some sort of very usable and interactive format. So let us look at the criteria that is potentially involved. And actually, it's not very difficult because if you're a particular company, then there are really very few key criteria that you need in order to come up with your shortlist. The first of these is obviously the sector or the category that you operate in. And with over 850 categories, you will probably cross over more than one of these, which just means that you can explore the data in order to find a group of potential investors, because don't forget, an investor will not want to invest in a directly competing company, but you want to identify people who are interested in the area that you operate in. Secondly, geography is really important. Obviously, you are going to be located somewhere in the world, probably in a major city, London, New York, San Francisco, wherever it happens to be. And particularly in the early stages, you will want to have investors who are close by you, or rather, the investors will want to be relatively close to you. So finding investors in your area is a very good way to start. And clearly, there are clusters of investors in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, obviously in Chicago, New York, Boston, London, etc. Berlin's a great hub. So there's a lot of potential to look for people who are local to you, and therefore you can cross over. But you will find that particularly in the later stages, there are investors who are headquartered outside of your area, sometimes not even on the same continent, but they will still find your business very interesting and will want to put money into it. And then finally, you've got the funding stage, and this can be very important. It's obviously critical, whether you're at the angel stage, and the data I have predominantly does not work very well with angels. It's not really focused on angel investors. It's really venture and private equity funding upwards. So you might have the seed stage, then you're looking at Series A through to D, E, whatever it is, pre-IPO, and trying to find the investors at the right stage. And you will find that some investors will cover more than one stage. They don't just invest in Series B or E. So the early stage guys who are investing in seed stuff may not go much beyond A, but if a guy invests in A, the chances are he'll invest all the way through, certainly up to C and beyond. So that's the sorts of investors you need to look at in terms of getting your funding stages right. And what I want to do now is take you over to the data in the Omniscope that I've put together, and I'm going to work a very simple example. And that is, I'm going to look for a company which is into 3D printing, and I'm assuming that my business is, and therefore I'm looking for investors, and I'm going to say I'm in New York, and I'm going to say I'm looking for a Series B investment. So let's go over to the Omniscope now, and I'll show you the data, and I'll show you how much data there is, and I'll show you how very easy it is to identify a shortlist of potential investors. So here we are in the Omniscope, and you can see in the top right hand corner I have got 4,215,000 records in this data set, which is about 4 times the number of records you can get into Excel at any one time. Now don't worry about the apparent duplication in this data set, because what I have done in order to create this data is combined and tagged a series of different data sets and brought them all together to make sure I've got maximum searchability when I want to run them. And you can see the complexity of what I've put together. So don't be too put off by all this. The whole idea is to end up with a data set where you can really drill down and find the key data that you need very, very quickly. So let's now conduct our search. The first thing I want to do is I want to find businesses which are 3D printing or involved in 3D printing. I can do this in one of two ways. I can put search all, or I can just go down to the category level 1, which is the single category search function. So I'm just going to put 3D printing in here, and you can see I've now got 1,012 records from the 4.2 million straight away. The next thing I want to look at is New York City, and I'm going to go down and I want the city for the company to be New York City. So I'm going to come down to here, put in New York, and now I have got just 102 companies. So here we can see that the companies that have had investment in the 3D printing area are only 4 in number. But what's going to be more interesting is who's made the investment. So if we come across and have a look at who's been doing the investments, and what we need to do is to look at investor name first of all. So I sort that, and that needs to be looked at in combination with this column here, which is the funding round. But you can see that the names of the people who are involved are some well-known ones: Andreessen Horowitz, Hewlett-Packard Ventures, iLab Accelerator, Index Ventures, etc. So there's your shortlist straight off, but you want to look at also what who's been funding at what level. And you can see from this that in the venture rounds, we can go from A to D, and we can identify who the investors are there. But there's also seed, grant, debt financing rounds by other people, and we can also bear those in mind because some of those might be useful. Now, one or two little things here. It's quite interesting to see that iLab Accelerator is based in Brisbane, Index Ventures are based in Geneva, Techstars are based in Denver, Colorado. So you haven't got a complete match of investors from the city, but you've actually got a start here. And of course, you can look at other permutations of printing and 3D printing and search for other category names. And of course, you can widen the geographic area as well. And maybe have in New York State rather than New York City to see what is going to be helpful to you. So I'm going to go back to the presentation now. I'm going to summarize the results we've got so you can see exactly what's come out of it, and hopefully understand how easy it is when you've got the data in this shape and form to really start to identify some useful data from it very, very quickly. So just to recap, of the 4.2 million records I've got, when we put in 3D printing, we got down to 1,102. When we added New York City as the location for the investee firm, we ended up with only 102. And when we looked at how those investors broke out, there were 3 angel investors, 1 provider of debt finance, 1 provider of grants, 4 seed investors, 2 Series A, 3 Series B, 3 Series C, and 5 Series D. And of those A to D, some of them invested in multiple times, so they actually are duplicated. But of course, you can then start to play around with this geographically. You can play around with it at the funding stage. You can look at the location of investors rather than the location of companies. There's lots of different ways of scanning this. The key thing is the data is there and it's very, very easy to search. Obviously, once you've got that data, you need to then start to look in more depth at those investors, and you need to start to reach out and make contact with them and take the process on from there. But starting with a short list of maybe 10, 12, maybe even 20 from 30,000, and you know that they're interested in the category or the sector that you're operating, you know that they're in the right sort of geographic area, you know that they're investing at the right funding stage, and you've got that information very, very quickly. That, I think, is incredibly powerful. So if you'd like to discuss with me how you can get some help to find potential investors for your business, then send me an email, technologyinvestors and send it to john@jbdcollie.com, and let's get on Skype and have a chat to see how I can help you and how we can work together to help your business go forward. So that's it, how to find a technology investor. As you can see, if you've got the data and you've got something really smart like the Omniscope, you can go a long way forward very quickly to identifying potential investors for your business.